The Zithari were a cold people, born beneath the pale auroras of a world forever wrapped in frost. Their cities gleamed with crystalline towers, their ships glided silently through the void on icy plasma currents, and their art celebrated stillness and quiet contemplation. Heat to them was dangerous, vulgar, an unpredictable force of chaos that devoured and corrupted. Even the smallest hearth flame was viewed with suspicion, an ancient terror woven into their collective consciousness. Fire was an untamed spirit, never to be invited, always to be locked away. So when the first human colony ship crash-landed on their outer moon, the Zithari Council watched from afar, convinced that these soft, red-blooded creatures would freeze and perish within days. Their observers recorded the humans stumbling in sub-zero winds, fumbling with primitive gear, and lighting fires in defiance of the glacial air. Primitive, reckless, the Zithari scholars wrote. They shall vanish soon enough, consumed by their own unruly passions. But humans refused to die. They gathered shards of local minerals to build crude shelters, scraped every bit of heat from fuel cells and friction generators, and, most scandalously, kindled great bonfires that painted orange streaks across the moon's endless snows. At night, the fires roared so high they could be seen from orbit, flickering defiance into the stars. Zithari scientists peered through crystal telescopes and trembled at the sight. They could not comprehend why the humans laughed and sang around those flames, why they huddled close to something so wild. The heat should have terrified them, yet it seemed to bind them closer. Curiosity overcame fear, and eventually, emissaries were sent down. Swathed in insulated suits and layered shielding, they approached the human camp as though stepping into a volcanic crater. When they saw the humans dancing around firelight, roasting food and clasping each other's hands, they recoiled. But one human, a woman named Sophia, saw them watching and beckoned them forward with a bright, fearless grin. "Come, warm yourselves," she called, her voice a crackling spark in the silent frost. The Zithari delegation hesitated, exchanging alarmed clicks. But Sophia stood, took off one glove, and extended her bare, steaming hand into the cold air. The lead Zithari, Scholar Yaren, felt something stir in his core, a dangerous fascination. He stepped forward, trembling. When Sophia clasped his cold appendage, he flinched at the heat but did not pull away. Instead, he felt life flood into his frost-hardened frame. Around them, humans cheered, pressed mugs of hot broth into crystalline hands, wrapped thick blankets over narrow shoulders. The Zithari felt warmth creep under their skin, saw how it made human faces glow, how it turned shivers into laughter. "What is this power?" Yaren whispered. Sophia squeezed his hand tighter, leaning closer. "Fire isn't just destruction. It's warmth renewal. It's hope when the night is endless." The Zithari returned to their cities changed. Many tried to resist, but images of the dancing humans around roaring flames haunted their minds. Younger Zithari, curious and rebellious, began experimenting with small fires under controlled domes, secretly inviting human instructors to teach them. The rigid elders condemned these experiments at first, calling them heresy. But soon enough, entire streets in the crystal cities glimmered with new warmth, small braziers lighting gatherings where music and food replaced silent meditation. Humans, invited into these cities, taught the Zithari how to forge tools with molten metal, how to cook meals that nourished both body and spirit, and how to share stories by firelight that no archive crystal could ever capture. They learned to dance with flames rather than flee them, to shape and guide heat rather than suppress it. In time, humans taught the Zithari to build engines fueled by controlled combustion, allowing their ships to traverse distant stars without relying solely on frigid plasma currents. What began as cautious study became a cultural revolution, spreading like sparks in dry grass. The Zithari, once cold and distant, began to gather in large communal halls lined with radiant fires. Their music shifted from slow glacial tones to songs that pulsed and shimmered like coals in a hearth. Children born after the humans' arrival no longer shivered instinctively at heat, but reached toward it with bright curiosity. One night, during a great festival on the capital spire, Yaren, now an elder, stood beside Sophia, gazing out at a city alight with warm lanterns and festival flames. The glow reached into the night sky, a beacon seen across the entire frozen hemisphere. "You came here burning," Yaren said softly, his crystalline eyes reflecting orange. "We feared you would consume us." Sophia shook her head, her laughter bright as crackling logs. "We didn't come to burn you down. We came to light you up." Yaren looked around at his people, no longer hushed and distant but singing, dancing, embracing. Tears formed at the edges of his crystal facets, shimmering like dew. "You have not merely brought fire," he said. "You have made us fire." And so, in the endless winter where once only frost ruled, flames now danced beside crystal towers. Humanity's warmth, chaotic, unpredictable, alive, had transformed a species terrified of heat into torchbearers who would carry light into the coldest reaches of the universe. They had feared the flames, but humans showed them that fire was not simply a force to be avoided. It was the soul's laughter, the heart's courage, the eternal spark that could turn a frozen silence into a living song. In the end, humans didn't merely bring fire, they became it, and they shared that blaze with all who dared to reach for the warmth beyond fear.